Welcome, everybody. This is Rami Kujan, and I want to welcome you to the Coaches Forum. We're here at FungoMan, and we've had a goal and a mission to empower players and coaches. And so when COVID happened, we thought this would be a great way to stay connected and expose ourselves to some of the forward-thinking ideas of baseball thought leaders. And responding to a time of adversity, we found that there can be a positive outcome from something that seemingly is negative. And now, as society and these opportunities begin to open up, we think it'd be a great opportunity to continue to gather information and grow. So that's why we're doing this. We're excited about it. And I just want to say welcome, first of all, to all of you, and also to our special guest, Robbie Wine. Robbie's down in Amarillo, and I just want to say this is a guy that's been around for a long time. I say that respectfully.
You're just calling me old.
That'd be like calling myself old. We don't want to do that. So welcome. It's good to see you, Robbie. We're excited to have you, and for a number of reasons. You had a great career as a ball player, and I remember you back in college. You were an amazing catcher, amazing player. Went on to be a first-round pick with the Astros, and just having that kind of a career is special, and it's. As all of us know, it's a difficult challenge to be able to reach your dream, and you did that. But you didn't finish there. You really just got started there, and so it's kind of exciting to see how you went from the player ranks into as an assistant coach at Oklahoma State, and then on to Penn State. If I leave anything out, please let me know. But I know after that, you went back to pro ball for a number of years, and I'm covering about 30 years in about
a lot of years.
15 seconds. So it's exciting to have you. Now you're a businessman. You're down in Amarillo. You have your own D-BAT Baseball Academy, and I guess it's been a couple of years now that you've been in business, and so you have an incredible variety of experiences. And so we have some questions for you. I know coaches, I see some of you guys up there that I recognize. If you have questions, please just submit them in the chat, and we'll try to get those to Robbie and see if we can get some insight to maybe what he's gone through and experiences. So let's get started. First of all, I'd just like to say again, it's always fun to see guys that have done so much. And now that you're a businessman, and maybe you were doing business before you were even done playing. I don't know.
No, absolutely the opposite.
So, but what's it like? I mean, you're. And oh, by the way, we just dropped this COVID thing that's never happened on you. So tell us about that. What's it like being a businessman?
It's I think college coaching has helped us be better business people. How's that? When I was an assistant coach, I knew nothing about business. I remember the first day at my first job, me and John Farrell got hired on at Oklahoma State with Tom Holliday. And we were sitting there, and the two of us never coached before. And then, John's gone on to win a World Series, and here I am, and we did our first camp was Tom Holliday tells me, "You have an hour hitting lecture." What? That's really the first time I really had to organize anything and do anything for other people. And that kind of springboarded me into the coaching world and everything. And, those years at Oklahoma State, Penn State, being a head coach, that is a business. and you better be on top of everything. And coming here, I felt like, dealing with D-BAT and Cade and Kyle and the owners of D-BAT and everything. This business will run itself. It doesn't. You have to work at it. You have to get to, it's about people. And the people in the community, we figured it out. We knew it. And the people in the community responded. And it's been a crazy day today. We're opening up doors here. The practices have started. And the 15th, we're playing games. And look out. They are like cramming right now, everybody. So it's been a wild day around here today. But things have slowly started to pick up. We're doing the social distancing, all the CDC guidelines and everything for Texas. And Amarillo's been a little behind, but we've been staying on top of that, and everything's going good. And people are loving it. They're glad to be back and doing some things and seeing that we're doing our part to help their safety.
That's great. It's good to hear. And I remember playing against you in college. And then seeing you, I don't know if I know you remember this, but it's interesting how, we can't get away from each other in baseball, can we? It's like, you're a player, then you show up. You guys had a caravan that came to our high school in Shreveport at Evangel. And we were, I can remember you and Whistler and I think John Farrell and some other guys, maybe in Cavilla. You guys were all down there doing a camp, and then next thing I know, you're a coach at Penn State, and then back in pro ball. So now, and then we run into you here with D-BAT. So it's been great. I love the baseball business, and you said it, when you're about people, which I think that's what. And just watching your demeanor with kids, with people, you have a calming effect on them, and I appreciate that. We were there at the time when you were about to open, and yet you still I don't know how you felt, but you sure looked like you had things together. So that was I guess that transition helped you, being a catcher, having to control the guys. I guess is that what it was?
Yeah, you know what? I think baseball does it to you too. If you have peaks and valleys, it's a long season, and you just sit around and you can't dwell on the past. You go for 5 yesterday, or even in the same game, you go for three strikeouts, and next thing you know, you're 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a game-winning hit. You just never know, and I think that's what baseball's brought to me. And I can go back to my dad. He was the coach, and he played for the Phillies in the Expos, and he was a coach with the Phillies, and they just ran on MLB Network. They just ran the 1980 playoff series and World Series. Well, that was my era right there with all those guys, Pete Rose, Bob Boone. I knew all those guys, and I knew what it took. I was with them. I lived it, and those guys going through the day in and day out in Philadelphia is not friendly to those people. And I'm sitting there reading those guys, and then I would go down there and see what they were reading, what they were hearing, and I'm like, wow, this is weird, So anyway, not to get off the subject, but
well, that is the subject, because I was thinking about you're from a baseball.
Get over it, don't you?
That's right. And you're being from a baseball family. What I'm hearing you say is you kind of grew up in the dugout. Is that true?
Did. Yes.
So was that? I mean, you're still around baseball, so you obviously loved it. Who was the most influential guy you met as a kid? Maybe a big leaguer or a coach. Who would you single out, and why?
Besides my dad telling me to get my arm up every time I threw a ball, or things like that, I'll tell you what, I think between Mike Schmidt and Bob Boone, I'd have to pick Bob Boone. Bob Boone, and I wasn't even a catcher back then, but wow. Bob Boone was a guy that sat down and talked the game to me in the dugout during World Series games. it didn't matter what the game was. He would pull me aside, and maybe it was because he had 2 or 3 other sons running around the dugout with me. I don't know what it was, but and Mike Schmidt was my idol, so I gotta give him a little tip of the hat too. He was my idol, number 20. Any chance I had a chance to grab his bat and use his bat, I hit it. I used it, and but Bob Boone, there was something about him that he explained the game to me and helped me a little bit more. I guess that's just a couple guys that did it, but then you go to your college coaches and your pro ball coaches. Where do you stop? I mean, I had a hitting camp, I had a pitching camp today, and I'm thinking back of all my pitching coaches that have taught me something, and just put it all together and make it your own.
Wow, that's pretty cool. You coached at Oklahoma State right after your pro career for what, about 8 years, right?
Yes.
Or how long was it? You played about 8? Was it 8 years, and then you coached at Oklahoma State?
8, 9, 10. Who's counting? I signed in 83. I think my last year was in 91, 92 of playing. And at that year, I just said, it's time to coach. I'm ready to coach. I'm done with moving and just bouncing around. In 1 year, I was traded, sold, and released in the same year.
Oh, wow.
That was like, but everybody's looking for that Bull Durham catcher that can go anywhere and, groom their young pitchers. So I was just like, you know what? I want to coach. I just reached a point I want to coach. And my first coaching experience was down in Pompano Beach, Florida State League. And it was the year, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was the year that they had the independent Miami Miracle had a draft. And they had kids down there that were just basically stuck in Florida State League. That was my first coaching experience. Freddie Gonzalez was the manager, and he goes, have you ever coached third base before? And I said, Freddie, I've never coached before. He goes, well, you're coaching third base tonight. And I'm telling you, I was sending everybody, and guys were getting thrown up at 15, 20 feet, and I had no concept of what coaching was, but it was pretty, me and Freddie together, it was a blast.
So you didn't have a problem transitioning from player to coach, did you? It sounds like you were ready to do that.
No, I was absolutely ready. I was ready to move on. And then the next itch I got was the strike year. I can't remember what year it was, but the next itch to play was like, ooh, I should be a scab. I should do this. I should do that. And I was like, whatever. I'm just kidding. But I was coaching, and I was coaching all these guys, and I'm thinking I could do this. I'm going to do what they're doing. But that was the next year that I had an itch to play again. And you always look back. I just look at these games on TV now, the MLB Network, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, I know that guy. I know that guy, Caminetti, and all these Astro guys that were here. Biggio is the reason I got traded, sold, and released.
Really? How did that go?
Traded, sold, released?
Yeah.
Or Biggio?
Both.
Well, it was worth it for them. And for me, I got traded to the Rangers, sold to the Yankees, released, and signed by the Braves. The next 2 years I was with 5 or 6 teams.
Oh my God.
But that adds to your coaching experience. So I don't think too much. I mean, I had a great experience. I love all the coaches and players, most of them that I played and coached with. And I'm just now starting to think back on all that stuff. And I know that's crazy, but it's there's a lot of good people that have made me who I am today as a coach.
That's awesome. So now when you translate that into your experience, your knowledge, and things you learned as a coach, as a player, what are some of the key, in your opinion, what would you say some of the top attributes or helpful tips could you give us about translating that information to to kids, to players of any level? I mean, you've coached them at every level now. So how does that work, and what are the differences?
I think you need to share your experiences. You know, these kids love hearing about, you know, that they know Nolan Ryan around here. Share what you know about Nolan Ryan. Not getting personal or anything, but in general, just make it real. Make all these things they're hearing and seeing out there real. Sharing experiences, and that's something that takes time. Some of these young instructors, they don't know how to do that yet. They don't know how to share their experience in JUCO ball, or you know, the coach that came down hard on them and it made me a better person. Or I mean, there's so many experiences that I think with age, with experience, you understand that they need to hear this, and they need to learn from it, and it's good or bad. And being honest with kids, I think just through it all, I've learned a lot with this business, that these kids love it. And when you think you're outdated, or when you think you're bringing up somebody that they have no idea about, their parents do, and their parents relay that message to them. Or you can relate to the younger kids too, the younger players out there in the world. You can relate to everybody. But I really think sharing experiences with the kids is like very, very important.
That's great. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have a couple of questions there at the end. I know if you have something, maybe well, anything, just drop it in the chat, and we'll add it there at the end. You know, you're in the academy now, and I have a couple of questions about that, because you're, as a business guy, how much of the time do you spend in the office? And how much time do you get to be on the field, and which one do you like more?
I am not a business guy. Okay. First of all, I own a business. Me and my wife, Donna, she was in the college athletics. She was a tennis coach at Penn State, and we're here now. Her family's here. We moved here. And I think college coaching and business is a lot alike, first of all. But diving into this, I'm seeing a lot of differences and a lot of things that need to be done. But I'm telling you, along the way, it's about the people and the energy. And when the office work drains me, the computer drains me. But when I walk out that door and I go out into those cages with those kids, it's like I could go 6, 7, 8 hours straight, and I find a way. And I relate this to a baseball season. You know, I remember Tucson. I played 35 straight games. I caught 35 straight games in Tucson. And the 36th day, they sent me to the major leagues. And I'm sitting there, and I am drained every day. It's 110 degrees. We're out there at 3 o'clock, batting practice, early work, everything. And I'm sitting there going, I am drained. And waking up, you're sore. You're sitting there going, no way. My knee hurts. My arm hurts. Everything hurts. And then as you gradually get through batting practice, and then infield, and then, oh, the lights are coming on, game time, here we go. And I relay that message to all our instructors. It's game time. Let's go. It's time to answer the bell. And I don't know. I think everybody's played the game understands what I'm talking about. You're dragging, and then game time, you just answer the bell. You find a way. And that's kind of what we do around here. And the office stuff and everything is very, very important. But once that bell rings out there with those kids, it is like, I don't know. It's like I'm ready to go, and our instructors are usually like that too.
We talk about, you know, if you have to take a bus ride, you know, for 6 hours, once you get off the bus and you get towards the field, that's when you know, and you're still liking it. Now you know you really love the game, because there's always going to be something, right? There's going to be some kind of challenge or you know, stuff we got to put up with, right? And
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, if you can be out on the field. That's
Here's my sanitary bucket that we're doing now. Spick and span, hand sanitizer, you name it. Here we go. So all of our instructors take those out there, and we're dealing with it. And it's just the way of life. It's the way we do it. It's the way. That's what cards are dealt to us right now.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff. So what I'm hearing you say is the love of the game powers your business, and they feed each other, right? I mean, you're able to do the one because of the other. You're able to make a living and do what you want to do. There's some guys out there who are maybe considering doing something like that and being part of a business or just doing lessons. Some rent out space. We got a question from Troy. He asked the question that there's a lot of different models out there to do baseball training facilities. Whether it's renting space, some sell lessons. They got a system. They don't want to, do any of the facility thing. What are the pros and cons to those, to doing it different ways? Have you, and I assume you've done it a few different ways.
I did. So when my wife and I decided to retire and move on from Penn State, we came back here for family reasons, her family reasons, and rented a place for a couple of years or a couple months, did lessons. And I was employed by the Padres at the time as a manager for their rookie ball team, or not rookie ball, but their half season team. And I kind of got hooked on the lessons. I was in an airplane hangar out of one of the airports out here and started doing lessons. And I have about 30 kids doing lessons. And I was like, you know what? We can make an impact in this place baseball wise. And my wife is a tennis coach, and I'm sitting there going, you could make an impact in the tennis area. And here we go. I'm sitting there going, I don't want to leave my dog for 6, 7, 8 months. So let's just move on from the Padre thing. Let's start this business. She goes, you can't do that. You committed to it. Okay. So we're a Padre. We go up to Eugene. We go to Arizona for 7 months or 6 months. And then we go to Eugene, Oregon and do the minor league thing. And she was done with that. So we came back to Amarillo knowing that this is kind of where we want to go. And I had my own business, and I worked from the airplane hangar to another business where I just rented a cage, and to another business where it was a porta potty outlet. It was a disposal company. There were orange porta potties everywhere, and it didn't smell good at sometimes. And all my clients stayed with me, and I thought, this is pretty loyal, and
you're doing something right.
Yeah. So we started working on this D-BAT thing, and it was a couple of years, but we built our own building, and it's worth it. It's more than worth it. Everybody that's stayed with me, they were members the first couple of days, and then it just keeps growing. And I think it's just a matter of, treating people right and doing things right, and answering the phone calls and the notes you get on a nightly basis of questions and wondering why they did this and why was this okay, and just staying on top of it. But from a business standpoint, I don't know. Yes, it's an investment. Yes, it's. I'm not saying we're making a lot of money right now, but it's an investment monthly because we own. And I would do it again. I'd go somewhere else and do another one. It's worth it. The support staff at D-BAT has been unbelievable. Kate and Kyle are great owners, and I feel like I can pick up a phone call and get an answer from them anytime.
That's great. Yeah, that's good. And so now you've probably seen kids. Well, if you've been coaching, over 30 years now, maybe?
Stop talking about years.
Well, my point
I signed in
is you got a
83.
bunch of them.
83. So I started coaching. I coached with the Brewers for 4 years, starting in 92, 93 in there somewhere. Coached with them for 4 years. Phil
So
Garner.
you've got kids that
Yeah.
are now grown men and have gone on and done baseball, but then they've done other things, obviously. How does that make you feel? And are there guys that you've coached that stand out to you? And tell us about some of that.
Man, there's a lot of people that stand out that made impressions on my life. Players, coaches, teammates. You know, at one point during this pandemic, I said, you know what I need to do? I need to go back and think about every major leaguer that I caught and make a list of them. And it was like, it'd be a mile long.
Wow.
Because I caught some good guys from college all the way up. And I thought, wow, that would be kind of corny. And I don't know, Rami, I don't know if you know me well enough, but I'm not, my wife gets mad at me because I don't promote what I've done out there. But honestly, as a player, I don't feel like I accomplished what I should have accomplished. As a coach, I feel like I'm not nowhere close to accomplishing what I should accomplish. And I feel like with D-BAT, I can help so many people here with our experiences. You know, even the College World Series back in 83, 82, whatever year that was, 81. Were you there at 81 too?
83 and 4.
Oh, okay, so I'm older than you. All right.
Oh, yeah. See?
Yeah. So I think we played Arizona State 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
We lost to them in the championship my freshman year. And we lost, and we probably lost again.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing I remember here, you know, the awesome thing that was happening at that time when we were in college is that there was an incredible, there was a great rivalry, but it was something that we knew you guys, Oklahoma State was really good.
Don't you think it was Brock and Ward, though, more than anything? They stirred it up.
I'm sure it started there, and there's no doubt. But as players, I can remember looking across the field and seeing these guys. You know, I mean, you could go down the list of on both lineups and just start naming big leaguer after big leaguer and on the field, and it was an amazing time to be a part of that. And so, yeah, I look back at that and have probably my favorite memories are in those kinds of games in the College World Series or just playing against teams like yours. You know, what it makes it fun to say, well, you know, like you were saying, yeah, we had some battles against Oklahoma State. We got to play against them in the College World Series, and you know, Robbie Wine and Pete Incaviglia and John Farrell and all these guys are just, you know, on the other side of the field. There's a kid, and we may have talked about this, but there's a kid that I was when I was coaching high school ball in Shreveport, we started doing camps my first year after I finished playing, and he was 7 years old. His dad is a judge in town and helped us kind of sponsor it. His name is Bo Waddell. Yeah. And as a 7-year-old, he was one of the first campers that ever came through our little Arclatech baseball skills camp. He's a grown man, and he's got a son that's 8 years old.
I see videos all the time of him.
This guy, I mean, he's special, right?
Did you know I brought Bo to Penn State?
I did not know that.
Yes. Bo,
how did that happen?
One of my kids, his freshman year, I was like, this guy's a gamer. This guy's a ball player. I'm bringing him into Penn State. He came.
Wow, that is so cool. I did not know that. So you actually recruited Bo. Well, you know, just seeing his son now, you know, that's a influence and one of the things that you've done. He's a great example that I know that you've had an impact on, because as you know, Bo and his family, they're all about it. And it's being passed right down. His son JR is pretty special. So
Looks like it.
yeah.
Looks like it. I've seen him. It must be Facebook or Instagram. I don't know what's going on, but some of this stuff. And good old Bo, I had him. Yeah, I brought him in. I was like, we need some gamers. We need some ball players. Because Penn State, Big Ten, it was different. It was different, but it was a great learning experience. It was
Great.
When I moved on, it was time to move on. I can just tell you that.
Well, let me ask you this, because it seems like, and it's pretty well documented, that there's just one catcher after another who's been either a manager in the big leagues, a head coach, Bochy, Joe Torre, Brenly, Sosha, Girardi. I don't know. It was Joe Madden a catcher. I want to say
Wakamatsu.
Don Wakamatsu. These guys all, including yourself, had the experience as catchers, and it's obviously there's something about that. But what do you think those qualities are that make that position more ready to do some of these other things like coaching and managing?
Well, okay, for one, a catcher knows every sign in the organization. They're going to know the signs. Outfielder doesn't know what the sign is from the manager to the catcher for a pitch out. So that's enough. That's one thing. I think the other thing is we are, and I look back to my deal, and I talked about it in the little clinic I had today about the catcher and the pitcher having that strong relationship. And pitchers, they're all over the place. There's guys that are students of the game. There's guys that just have great talent. There's guys that are Looney Tunes. I mean, it's and it is an individual's position. It's me or nothing. I win, I lose. So I think as a catcher, looking back, I did not know this when I played, but I know it now. It is a position where you better know a lot about that person's personality, that person's goal, drive, you name it. And like I said, when I played, I didn't know it, but now I know it. I know for sure that it's a position that you better know that guy you're dealing with on the mound to get the best out of him. And if you're not in tune with that, you're not going to get the best out of him. It's going to be all him doing his thing and you doing your thing and whatever. But I think, looking back at Girardi and some of the names that you brought up, those guys are like that. They're people oriented. They're people person. They're in tune with what's going on with that guy. What's wrong with that guy? How is he? Why is he? What's going on? And just figuring it out.
Right.
I really think that's what it is.
That's good. And which leads me, I was going to ask the question, how did you learn to manage your rosters and stay competitive with the turnover in players, whether it was in college, transferring in, pro ball, guys getting sent up, called up, and sent down, released, whatever. But I think you just alluded to it. You had to know pretty quickly. You had to kind of read situations. Is that right?
Yes. And, I was a much better assistant coach. I will admit this now. I'm a much better assistant coach than a head coach, because a head coach, you have to make decisions. You have to, I'm not saying cut people, because we didn't cut people, but you have to make decisions on who plays, who doesn't play, and and I'm more of a people person, like, hey, come here, coach isn't playing you because of this. This is how you get better. And I think it's really important, that chemistry of a coaching staff, to understand all that stuff. But I kind of got off track a little bit, but what I'm saying is, God, I lost track, Rami.
Well, you were talking about the transition and just being able to read a player and make decisions on how you can how do you make those managerial decisions on the fly? And
Well,
you
some of
can't
the
do it on the mound with the pitcher and figure him out, or watching a hitter, right?
the game situations was easy. It's the personal situations that bugged me the most with the head coaching. You gotta make decisions on, is this guy gonna cut it or not? And I'm always erring on the side of, we can figure it out. We can get this guy. We can get him going. We can work him out. And I go back to a moment when I was at Oklahoma State and Frank Anderson took over as head coach and Tom Holliday just moved on. And I was the assistant coach that they insisted on keeping on staff. And there was a kid they brought in from a junior college that was struggling. And they were talking about sending them out. And I'm just in these meetings like, how can you send people out like this? How can you do this? But I understand that's business. And they said, well, he's not hitting. And I said, all right, you want him to hit? Let's figure it out. So he was hitting. And then the guy's name is Ty Wright. I don't know if you know that name, or it's from Tyler, Texas. The stinking kid just turned it on and ended up being, I think it might have been an All-American, high draft pick with the Cubs. And it was at that moment where I thought, man, I can make a difference here with the kid's life that's getting ready to get shipped out to a junior college versus what he's accomplished.
That's really good.
I don't know. I have a hard time with giving up on people, and it's not giving up, it's making decisions. But sure. I don't know. That's where my head coach drive was lost a little bit. And then I started thinking, how can I help more people? And this is what we're doing.
So that same philosophy, and we believe in that same kind of attitude where you're empowering people, you're doing what you can to make them better. Does that translate into your business? And if so, how does that happen?
I think for sure parents see it, parents feel it more than the kids. And if you just can relay that to the kids and be consistent with that message, the kids, they're not sure on all this stuff, but the parents see it and they see. I mean, I had one mom come, you're still passionate about this. Yeah, I am passionate about it when I get out there, and the business part is the tough part. But it's not hard. It's just time consuming. And the time consuming is not in front of a computer or on a phone or doing stuff like this. It's out there with the kids and making a difference. That's kind of where I get my energy. I look for energy, and it's out there. I say out there. You see out there?
Yeah.
That's out there.
Not a bad view. That's a good office view.
No, I'm glad I put this window in here because I can see what's going on out there when I'm sitting in the office.
There you go. Well, there's, we got a few more minutes, but I wanted to touch on where are we going from here. In terms of amateur baseball, you're right in the middle of it. You've seen, the differences and the kind of the evolution, or maybe the pendulum swing of how things are going in amateur baseball. What's on the horizon that you see? What's going to happen?
With what? Baseball?
Well,
you're asking me.
Let's just take amateur baseball, okay?
Yep.
And I'm always interested in this because we've seen, playing a bunch of games,
Yep.
We're kind of in that place right now. Is it going to continue? What are your thoughts? Where do you think it's going?
Okay, so I have not been a firm believer in families spending so much money going out there playing all this elite stuff or, all that crazy stuff. I see exposure. We need exposure. We need to get our kids in front of coaches. Then now these are kids that, going back to an earlier conversation we had, it's about the kid having success to the greatest of his ability. So if he has a great high school season, but he's not a college prospect or a pro prospect, that's fine. But that's what we're all about. We want that kid to have the best experience, get the most out of his talents, and live his dream as long as he can. So with that being said, now I am in a small town in Pennsylvania, and they found me. And I didn't take lessons. I didn't travel. There was nothing there, but that was back then. Now it's a little different story. So we have to get out there a little bit, but how do we get out there? How do these kids get their information out there? And now with all these Zoom meetings and all this internet technology, is that a good way to do it? And our relationships with colleges, junior college, Division I, all the coaches out there, they're helping us with what they look at, what they need, and with the respect that I think they have for me. And I'm not going to say, hey, this guy's the next so-and-so major leaguer, whatever I want to say. They know I won't say that if the kid's not there. So I think respect through the community, through the college coaches, they know if I call them on a kid, they should pay attention to that. So the experience of being a college coach, the experience of being a professional baseball player, I think more people listen, but you have to be careful when you're in our shoes to over promote people that aren't there yet. So there's a big balance right there.
Right.
And we're running a business too, by the way. So now you got Johnny out there who thinks he's a college prospect. I don't think so. And I'm not calling any college coaches for him. Right. So there's a lot going on here that we have to watch out for, but I think everybody probably on this call understands what I'm talking about.
Well, you know what, Robbie, it goes.
That's where the teams come in, where we have to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm. And you said it a number of times already today, is that you're all about relationship. And if you build a relationship, whether it's with a player, with a parent, with a college coach, whatever, a scout, whatever that relationship is, if you build a trust and you are integrous and you do what you say, and say what you do, people are going to, it's going to end up right. And I think that's where you've had success. You have the proof is kind of in what's happened in your lifetime. But that's a good word for us as businessmen, as coaches. If we live a life that's that can be trusted, it's amazing what can happen.
Yes.
And that's what I'm hearing you say. Yeah. It's making a difference, and that's exciting. I know, yeah, that balance, and you said that too, the balance of having a business, making money, and still holding that level of integrity and respect, and not overselling, underselling, just being truthful. There's what things do you do to keep in check personally? Is there anything you do that might be a tip to help all of us?
I just think patience and paying attention and slowing things down and not jumping to conclusions, and understanding that everyone's going through different scenarios in their life, especially these days. We had a plan to have 2 teams this summer and 2 D-BAT elite teams, and there's people out of jobs, there's people overworked, there's people that are wanting vacations this summer. They want to get away from it all for a while, and just trying to have a better understanding of what everybody's going through, and understanding you need to pay attention to that and not just worry about number one in your business. And it's the same thing in players. It's the same thing. Everybody's, in college coaching, what are they looking for? What do you have? What do you go on? It's just called life, I guess. I don't know. I feel like just paying attention to what people are needing and wanting, and we have a softball community around here. It's a senior league softball. They love coming in here, but they have not been able to come in. They're grounded for a while. So understanding them.
Yeah, that's good. Well, this has been great. I really appreciate the time. If you don't mind, would you mind taking us around? Can you kind of show your facility somehow, or what do you have on your computer, or do you have a way of taking us on a little tour? Huh?
I wish I could. I'm on a desktop though. It's
all right.
I'm in my office.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's okay. We'll take a look at it. If you guys go on the internet, I'm sure you'll be able to find them down in Amarillo, the D-BAT Amarillo. You can check them out online. But Robbie, it's been amazing hearing some of your story and just sharing some of the things you've done. We really appreciate it. I know this is something that we want to continue doing. So we appreciate all that you do as an instructor, as a businessman in the game of baseball. And anytime you have any ideas or suggestions, I'm always all ears for it. Yeah. So thanks again for joining us.
You guys have been great, and you're accessible, you and Daniel and crew. Shoot, I feel free. I feel I can shoot a text to you and we'll get some answers. And it's not all about machines and facilities either, is it?
No.
That's other things. And honestly, I was trying to get that CD. I lost that CD, but I was going to have that picture of you on ESPN, because I think that might have been the first year of ESPN.
Seems like it.
Something like that. I mean, it was that old school Ramin Kojin.
Oh man, I'm glad
you hit the lineup.
I don't know. I was just glad to be in that lineup.
You were covering Bonds, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I was a decoy. Yeah, right. Now that was a lot of fun. But I really appreciate you, Robbie. Thank you again. And
thank you.
Anytime you need anything, let us know.
Will do.
We're gonna sign off. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Feel free. We're also gonna try to post this over the next few weeks. So have a great.
Oh shoot! There's my OSU jersey right there.
There you go.
That's my Hall of Fame.
Come on, man. Come on. There you go.
Yeah. Hall of Famer.
Come on. All right, man. Well, have a great day. We thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
See you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.